Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. It is Tammy coming live to you today from my office. For Sunday sermon, it is Spring Forward weekend, so we have sprung forward, and I am now 11:23, which is about the time I normally come because it's normally 10:23. So we're pretty much right on time, even though it looks like it's an hour off today. To add insult to injury this morning with my time change, I was sleeping like a champion. Like I slept my head off, and I was like, it's really quiet in here. Like it's super quiet here. Like there's no noise in here. And that's unusual. I love to have the silence, but there's usually the sound of the HVAC, the fan, the clicks, the ceiling fan, just the normal house sounds in your environment while you're sleeping. That's, we believe now is white noise. But when I woke up this morning, it was literally, man, it is really, 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 really quiet. And it was really cool. And it was just like, I don't know, one of those really like great sleeping weathers. And I looked over to see what time it was, knowing that it was going to be whatever time's on the clock, it's going to be an hour ahead. It's probably like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's probably like 9 or, 8 or 9 in the morning. And I looked over at the clock and there was nothing on the clock. The reason it was so quiet, the reason it was so cool, the reason it was so all the things was because the power went out sometime this morning, sometime sometime overnight into the morning. I'm going to guess it was not long because I had woken up earlier when Red was leaving to go meet the excavator at our property in Nottoway. It looks like we're moving forward with our build, right? We're trying to be in our own space. Hopefully, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. With this weather we've had, we can't make any promises. By the end of this year, the very beginning of next year, we are going to try to do what we said we're going to do, build it out of pocket and keep it moving. A lot of you have been following. I'm live in a lot of places. It's been a very, very, very tumultuous week, and we're going to talk about the Sunday sermon today. It says the upper limit problem. Today's Sunday sermon is probably going to be a pretty big one, pretty emotionally charged one. There's a lot of things going on, and I tell you, I'm as authentic as my food, and it has been a big energy week, and I'm going to talk about it. This is where I process. This is how I process. This is where you guys come along for the ride. This is where the channeled message comes in. I say that things don't happen to me. They happen through me, and that my test is my testimony, right? My test in this life is my testimony. And the last several weeks, I feel very put to the test, very much back against the wall. And, with no downtime, it's very hard to do the work. But I did carve out time this past week to have my session and with Carly. I talk about that all the time, how, you have to make time for yourself, and that you are, if you can't put your oxygen mask on, you can't help the person beside you. You can't pour from an empty cup. And I have been avoiding dealing with my healing, avoiding, any type of investment in me over the last couple of weeks. I just had things happen, and these things keep coming up right during my session times or whatever. And I would call and cancel. Like, okay, so a customer would show up 2 hours late for a meeting, and I would not set a boundary, and I would then forgo my healing session to be able to do, because I'm thinking, my justification, right? Anybody else ever have like, yes, I understand that life happens, but I can justify it. Anybody else have a justification for why you are like you are? Anybody else can explain to me like why maybe you're not eating right now, why maybe you're not getting enough sleep right now, like all the reasons why. Like, I know I have to, but here's why I can't. So I'm going to get it done when I can. Anybody can explain away all of their piss poor behaviors or their non life enhancing. We're going to change our language, right? We talk about how language is important. We're going to talk about language from that space today, right? I am not procrastinating, but I'm not making bad choices. I am making non-life affirming choices. why you are not making a life affirming choice, right? Why this, and I'm showing y'all the real deal Holyfield, right? I made a non-life affirming choice this morning. On Sunday mornings, one of the things that I don't eat out, like we ate out a lot last week because I was just pissed tired. We were dinner, but we don't like try not to eat like fast food. Like we try to eliminate that from our diet. It's very rare that we do that. I have been like Sunday mornings. I do well all week. I have a little guilty pleasure. I love a McGriddle, a sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddle, and a vanilla iced coffee. That was my everyday guilty pleasure, non-life affirming choice for the majority of the time that I worked in corporate America. I drove from Farmville to Richmond every day for a long time, for like 10 years. And I would stop at my little McDonald's in the morning. That was my halfway point to work. That was my woosah. It was not the best choice for me. It was very much something that was putting a Band-Aid on something. I've worked through, I can't remember what it was at this point, but a McGriddle and an iced coffee every day would be the way, right? And then, the additional non-life affirming choices would be, I'd have that on the way to Richmond. I'd get to work and there would be breakfast brought in by the company or by a potluck or something going on, or donuts, or somebody would bring something by, and I would not say, oh, I've already had breakfast. I would then go have second breakfasts. You know what I mean? Or I'd go down, most of the time I'd finish with my iced coffee when I got to work, right? I would have my water bottles on my desk, and then I would go down to like the little cafe in our building, because my friend would be going to get their boiled eggs and like their grits or whatever. And then I would grab a snack, right? I would grab a muffin or something like that, even if there wasn't other things brought for free. And like this enormous freaking like diet soda, like a 32 ounce, like a big gulp kind of thing. So as I have, worked for myself, that's when I went on the keto and I lost the weight. One of the first things I did was I was recognizing that is not a life affirming choice. And when I talk about non-life affirming choices, I talk about the day's Sunday sermon says the upper limit problem. It's all going to make sense. Just come along for the ride. Do me a favor while you're jumping on here, as we did kind of jump in today. Do us a couple of favors if you're watching. Do the things below. Say hello. Tell us where you're watching from. So Heather says, hello, good morning. I'm watching from my car. And so that's hello, where you're from, right? She's also watching from Sylvania, Ohio, or somewhere in Ohio or Michigan or somewhere in that area. And then I ask you to do the thing below, which is drop a grateful, like what this is saying, drop a grateful fed in the comments, much like Elizabeth Clark, sorry. Good morning from Crew, Virginia, and a grateful fed. And then we have a grateful fed in Farmville, and she slept great last night too, from Norma Jean. So if you are watching today in any of the platforms, whether it be on my personal page, the Grateful Fed, and I am live everywhere because this is going to apply everywhere. The Grateful Fed, my personal page, the Hometown Hippie business page, the Hometown Hippie private group, as well as our community spiritual healing group over on YouTube, which is kind of a catch-all for all of it, which is where Miss Norma Jean watches us from. So do me those favors. And if you are just tuning in and like, what the hell is this lady talking about? What is she doing? What's going on? Every Sunday I come live for what I call Sunday Sermon. It's kind of like a Tammy Talk. And we talk about whatever the angels, God's helpers, God, my testimony comes through. Before I came on here today, I did a little smudge. I activated my Reiki intentionalities. I called in all my guides and helpers. I asked to be a clear and perfect channel. I asked to deliver the message that was going to unburden my heart, and it was going to be to the highest and best of the folks that were watching it, because I know that there is there's a lesson here. There is an aha moment today for somebody out there watching, or several somebodies out there watching, that I know that. Like, I know the tingles that you get when this is for somebody, right? And this week, like I said, has been a big energy week, and we're going to talk about an upper limit problem. Does anybody there's some OGs watching, the people that I showed the comments from, Miss Heather, Miss Elizabeth, Miss Norma Jean, whoever else out there watching in TV land, please just do us a favor and say hello. I promise we don't bite. We're going to talk about some interesting topics today. I even have the news article from the guy who wrote the book we're going to talk about on and geared up in case we want to see a little clip from it, because this year, one of the things that I came and told you back in January that I was diligently working on was trying to be a better communicator. I know that I do a lot of lives, and I want to make sure that if I have a platform and I have a message to deliver, specifically coming into the podcast where I'm working on behind the scenes, which will be birthed when it is ready, it is important for me to be succinct and clear and not ramble and all the things. And the angels, guides, and helpers say to me that the more I grip onto that and not let them just come through, that I'm learning to channel better. That's what they're saying. Like, say that you are being more focused on tuning in to the energy to be able to channel more appropriately, because it's not my message. It's not that I'm stumbling over my words because I am trying to say them. It is literally because I say, when I come on these lives, I sometimes don't have a clue. I get nervous. I'm uncomfortable. And I literally stop before I come live. I take my breath and I say, make me a clear and perfect channel for this message that I'm about to deliver. And I said, receive and deliver, because I literally ask for the receipt of the message. Sometimes the message comes through big and I write it down and then I deliver it. It's been happening very much on the spot. And I think as we grow, and as I grow into my intuition, I grow into my my communication with God, with my communication with the angels, God, whatever word you use, we don't yuck anybody's yum, right? I feel that that I don't need that, it doesn't matter how long I have it, because it's just meant to be delivered. Does that make sense to everybody? Can I get some thumbs up, some hearts, some O faces? Oh. And if not, can I ask me, like, what in the world? I'm going to say this. One of the things that the upper limit problem is about, it is about self-sabotage. Upper limiting yourself is, when you say that phrase, if someone were to say to me, oh, you have upper limited yourself, that to me is translated as, oh my gosh, I have self-sabotaged something because of a predetermined belief that I'm holding, that a predetermined belief about myself that I am holding. And when we talk about this today, I am going to encourage. We used to do a book club, and it kind of fell off, like a monthly, like hometown hippie book club. And we would put a book out there, and we'd have a group, and we talked about it, I think once. I'm not sure if it's the hometown hippie, if I did it with, I think I did it with my pure romance girls, when we were doing these kind of books. Might not have been hometown hippie. We need to do that. We need to do a book club, or just a suggestion. And the author's name is Gay, G-A-Y. I'm going to write it in here. It's Gay I got to spell it, Drix. And his book is called The Big, and I have it. I think I let somebody borrow it. The Big Leap. I'm going to put this up here. This is the book we're going to talk about today. I'm going to put this up here. The Tammy's going to put it up here. Gay Hendricks, The Big Leap. If you have not, or you like to read, or you do audibles, or you like those, it's a lot of words, and so it's not like it's like a lot of case studies and talking about that. And I've gone from it from start to finish, and I do it on Audible, and I did it on Audible while I was working from home. I would be doing postage or typing in orders or whatever I was doing back in the day, and I would listen to this, and this really helped me break through some barriers. And as I was preparing this morning, I woke up, I'm like, oh, I'm going to take advantage of this peace and quiet. Took some deep breaths, right? I was like, I'm thankful for the additional sleep. I talked to my sister for a moment. I said, go do the things you need to do today. I'm going to go to the office. Time is not real. It's imaginary. I'm exactly on time. Took some deep breaths. And I was like, I'm not going to let it fret me. I'm not going to let the not having power this morning have a lot of like physical like things to do. I wanted to do Sunday sermon because I missed y'all last week. Having some anxiety around Sunday sermon because we're going to talk about some heavy things in a minute, right? We're going to do some details of some things. When I went into this week, looking at like the energy management and how to work through this, it was interesting because it came back to shadow work. It came back to boundaries. It came back to all of the things that we have been working on, standing in faith versus being in fear. Like everything that I have talked about over the last several months, these big messages that I've been coming back with y'all on, right? Don't be the victim, be the victor, right? Every lesson is a blessing. You cannot operate in faith and stand in fear. It just doesn't work in the same place. Can I get a hallelujah, amen? If we remember these sermons, it helps to have people commenting in the comments, right? Do me another favor. Tag a friend who needs to hear this today. Tag a friend who's living in the woe is me right now. Or message them if you don't want to put their name in the comments. Tag a friend who needs to be here right now because they need some words of encouragement and they need to take some personal. Here's the thing, like everybody that you know, you can tag, because here's the real deal Holyfield of it today. Talking about the upper limit problem, it is about looking inward and finding out where our blocks and our triggers are. And I've talked about this in other ways, but today the way it's coming up to be renowned, right? Talk about things coming back up to be renowned. The reason that these sermons sometimes put themselves on repeat in different ways with different energy is simply because we are in a different place energetically to say, okay, I put some sugar on it and you handled the first step, right? A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Now it's like the angels, gods, and helpers, the image that I'm getting is kind of like one of those cattle prods on my ass, right? Like, say the things, like say the hard things, stop pussyfooting. I can feel the throat chakra just on fire, right? And the big leap, the upper limiting myself, is trying to be political, trying to be, the thing, like you don't want to say the hard thing. It's like, I don't really need to say it. Like, I'm just going to let it go. Like, just swallow it, right? But it's time to say the hard things to people, right? It's time to say the hard things to people, because this is what it comes back down to, right? It's about how we play a major role in our suffering. It's about taking the responsibility that you have in your own suffering. It's about, if you're not changing it, you're choosing it. It's about, you get to decide. It's about, stop upper limiting yourself. It's about that. That's what it's about today. It's about how all of these things are happening for every single person, everything, everywhere, all at once. Does that make sense to anybody else? The same strife and struggle and decisions and reeling and all the things that you think you are on your island that's happening to only you, right? That you think it's only, woe is me, it's only happening to me. Even if your head knows, I know other people are suffering, but they just don't know what I'm going through. Anybody ever said that, like, man, it's like, I feel for you, but like, there's just, you think that you have it worse. Because we all live in it. And our reality is we do have it worse. And I'm going to tell you some words of wisdom that came up this week. So Rosie Posey says, feel this. Been doing trauma therapy for several years and I'm self-reflecting lately, right? So here's the thing. If we do not recognize our own role in our suffering, if we don't recognize the triggers, the traumas, the pieces and parts that make us invited into our life. And here, I'm not victim shaming, right? I tell people this all the time. What happened, what was victimized upon you, what happened to you is not your fault. That is 100% not your fault. And I'm so very sorry that someone took advantage and someone hurt or damaged or did something to you to injure or to cause damage in some way or to cause harm. To be non-life affirming, to not to be to your highest and best. Okay? I am sorry that happened. That is not your fault. What is your responsibility is the healing of it and not letting that trauma then cause you to cause trauma on someone else. Right? It's not anyone, it's your responsibility to heal from that so that your energy does not then impose improper or pissy poor energy on other people. Because it is our responsibility. We can't collectively raise the vibration without our vibration being raised. And being able to recognize our triggers, to being able to understand that it may not be our fault, but it is our responsibility to heal from it and move forward, right? You can't, if something happens, if I get fired from a job, I have been fired from 2 jobs in my entire life. When I got fired from a job, I had two options. I could lay in the floor and cry because I had no job, right? I could just give up. I got fired. No more jobs. I don't have a job now. I'm out without a job. I got fired. Oh, woe is me. They don't like me. They hate me. It's all their fault that I got fired. I got fired. I don't have a job. Woe is me. Blah, 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 right? That's to lay and be a victim. Or I can say, all right, obviously God saw something in this job that was not right for me. He knew I wasn't going to leave it. So he didn't remove me from this position. I would still be here fighting this good fight, being miserable. So this is a blessing to me. And I don't have a job today, but now it is my responsibility to say, okay, I don't have a job today. Let me go get a job tomorrow. Go get a job tomorrow. So say you did that and 3 weeks later you're fired again and you go do that. So what I'm going to say is this. In those instances of when the universe is working in your favor, but you don't like how they did it, right? In those moments of like, fuck, what happened? Like, why? Right? Here's what I've been trying to figure out. Number one, our reality is our decision. So what is happening in our life is 100% a direct reflection of what we want, what we are choosing, and what we are putting in our purview. So if my things are falling apart and going shitty, if you stay in the victim and you blame everybody else for it, that's where you're going to live, because you're putting it out, right? However, whenever everything's going shit, when everything's going crappy in my world, what is the one common denominator of everything in my world going crappy? There's a common denominator in my shit going haywire. Anybody know what the common denominator is? When your world is falling apart, there's a common denominator in each of those stories that is the same no matter what. And that is you and me. If everything around me is falling to shit, I don't believe it's everything. I believe it's me. Right? I was told this week that this was a toxic place, and it was unfriendly and toxic, right? And I really had a problem with that. Like, I immediately knee jerk, what the? And I'm going to tell you the wisest words I have ever heard come out of somebody's mouth came out of my husband's mouth when he and I were talking this, when I was sobbing like a baby. So I am so blind to what this is saying. I don't get it. I am not placating people's piss poor behavior, but I am not toxic and unfriendly about it. I laugh about it. It's what the fuck it is. If you're not doing your shit in my world, I just want to say, do your shit. But people can't handle that sometimes, right? But when I was told that, I was caught out of left field. Where the hell? What the hell? I am so confused by this. And the words of wisdom were, that is their reality. And when they are here, they are unfriendly. And this is what's happening when they are in that's their perception. You can't say that is not their perception. You can't say that is not, that's what that's what they see. That is not a you problem. That is a them problem. And if you know that you're working out of your best integrity and you're doing your best, and someone is not aligning with that, it does not mean you're doing it wrong. It just means that you're not vibrating at this same space. Red listens. He listens and processes and doesn't say it out loud. He's it doesn't mean you operate from 4 agreements. He's you always do your best. And in every situation, you are doing your very best. And if someone in your atmosphere, you tell me I'm going to work, I'm not going to change my integrity for other people. And if they don't like it, they'll fall off. And that's how I've been going through this year. I'm I am not changing my integrity. If someone makes me outside of my integrity, I will choose the type of energy I want to expand on them. And I adjusted my energy accordingly, and I set my boundaries accordingly. And when those people fell off, right, it was for them. That's how the energy feels off, right? So you don't always know when I was you're right. I get what you're saying. He's so that energy was uncomfortable for them. And that is the way that energy made them feel, because the universe needed them to be out of your atmosphere. When things are not vibrating at the same level, he says you are angry and uncomfortable and mad, and you set boundaries. See this throat chakra? So what did the universe do? The universe said, you're just not vibrating at the same level, and it's going to remove it. No hard feelings. Their reality is their reality. My reality is my reality. And then I said, let's do an autopsy on it. Let's really deep dive into the shadow work. Let's really get into the nitty gritty. Let's figure out the lesson and the blessing. Let's figure out what we're dealing with here. Where is my own contribution to my world falling apart right now? Right? My brother is very sick, and my brother is incarcerated for a long time. And the prison system in Virginia has done is the most piss poor organization. I can't even get into it. I don't want to sit here and badmouth anything, because like everything else, it's made up probably of some good people with some bad circumstances all the way around, from the prisoners to the wardens. I promise you. There's politics. There's all these things that are playing a role in it, and this is where the universe shows me very clear, right? When this all happened, it's the universe is like, Tammy, you have a platform. Even if it's my brother, I was like, why? Why is this happening to us? And the universe says, why not? Maybe even working through my brother's illness, we are able to affect a change, and we can save somebody else, right? And when you talk about the why me's and all of those things, like I have been in that space this week, and the universe is like, it could be worse, right? And that's what I realized when we've lost two of our primary management team. Well, they were management team until we didn't have managers, because there's only 5 people here, right? Two of our primary leadership team, like leaders in what they did, right? One of them was our lead and our head person in the food truck, and the other one was our head chef. And we're very sad to see them go. They made the choice of their own volition. It was it wasn't in the way in which I would have hoped that we would have all parted ways for the highest and best of everyone. But the universe makes no mistakes, and sometimes you just got to pull a Band-Aid, and probably for it to happen, it had to happen hard. And I've been dealing with it this week, and I've been mourning it. I've been grieving it. I think I have grieved the expectation of the idea of what it was supposed to look like moving forward, and the people that I wanted to take along for the ride. Not everybody is cut out for new businesses and changes, and things being done on the fly. And, even though it's how I operate, the chaos is how I operate. Well, the universe, not everybody does that. Not everyone can function well in that environment, and they need some stability, I think. I don't know, the reasons are there and what they are. But I could not go through what I went through the last 2 weeks. I started last Thursday through it's going hot and heavy now, and kind of through it as a Friday. Everything's kind of been settled as a Friday. And I took a little bit of time every night, and this weekend, last night specifically, and I really did some like soul searching about it. And I was like, where is it? What are they doing? Why do they not want, and I was like, what? It's not about them. Like I can't do a meditation to figure out what's going on in their brain. What I can do a meditation on is like, where did I contribute? Where did I contribute to this mess? How do I not do that moving forward? And when I looked at it, I was like, here's the thing, the upper limit problem came up because I was trying to explain to my sister in my smart, psychobabble bullshit way, because, we want to make sense. My brain craves making sense of everything. And I was like, I hate that they're upper limiting themselves. I read this book. They should have read it. I think I gave it to both of them to read, and they're doing this to themselves. And here's the thing, right? It was not, the universe stopped me dead in my tracks and said, stop. And I was like, okay. Like, it was literally like a big, like, stop. 2 hands up, stop. And the universe said, this did not happen for you to fix anything other than you. This is a lesson for you. This is your test. This is your tree in the path. This is your dam. This is your upper limit. And I hit that, like when I hit that wall when I was doing the reflection on it, when I'm like, why are they doing this? Like, how do I? And the universe is like, why are you journaling about somebody else's like brain? Like, stay out of their freaking subconscious and get into yours. Like, this is less about everybody else and more about you. And let's talk about it, right? And that's what today's message is about. The upper limit problem. It's not about their upper limit. It's about my upper limit. It's about your upper limit. And knowing that when these things are happening in your world, you need to really reflect and see where you are drawing it in, where you are upper limiting yourself. Does anybody know what the upper limit is? Does anybody know? Can anybody tell me in the comments what the upper limit is? All right, I'm going to copy and paste. Anybody know what the upper limit is? I'm going to give you all a chance to give me like what you think the upper limit is. All right. I'm going to add this banner. I'm going to add the other one because it's got more words to it. It's got more words to it. Okay. All right. All right, here we go. Okay. So what the upper limit is, I'm waiting to see if y'all have any answers while I put this in there. So Heather says, educate me because I sometimes think I don't have one. You do. You do. Okay, so upper limit. The upper limit, Hendricks asserts that the upper limit problem is the human tendency to bump up against limits in an attempt to grow. In other words, the subconscious self-sabotage that happens when something great is about to happen. So it's a subconscious self-sabotage that we have, right? Here's how, here's the key takeaways. This is what I'm trying to get to now. There's like 5 key takeaways. These are the things. I'm trying to get them up here in my, hang on. I'm going to do it as a comment because I think I can have unlimited things on comments. I think I can have unlimited links on comments. All right. I'm putting this big long message up here. I'm going to put it up on the Team Unity. Key takeaways. Okay. Take a moment to evaluate if you attribute to the upper limit issue by learning how to spot it, right? By learning how to spot it. Number 1, eliminate worrisome, unproductive thoughts that you can't change. You get your power back when you shift your focus to valuable thoughts instead. Releasing your need to be right. It will direct conversations away from solutions and add to your upper limit problem. Fear is characterized as a trigger from childhood trauma that will hold you back and ensure artificial shyness. And then number 5 is life is constantly being open and receptive to receiving positive energy. It keeps your attention on everything inside where everything starts, the shine you already have. So what it is this, y'all. I'm going to take this down. I'm going to go over it, right? So the upper limit issue, whenever I read the book, it talks about, right, these unknowing subconscious blocks that we have been carrying around since childhood that keeps us small. It is another extension of our ego. It is the extension of our ego. When you know that you're bumping up against that issue is in circumstances where, right, you feel triggered, where things are going shitty, where you have worrisome and intrusive thoughts. It's ego. So we all have it, right? The upper limit problem is ego. Ego in a nutshell. And that's what we talk about all the time, right? And I have been trying to make friends with ego. And this opportunity that I've had over the last couple of weeks here has been interesting, because I'm going to tell you, had I not been doing the work, had I not been, at least trying to break some of the branches up, maybe kicking the can down the road, but had I not been working on understanding that ego has done its job for all of these years, keeping me safe and making sure that I was in my place so that I did not get hurt. Because that's ego's job. It's to keep you protected. And I am still here kicking along. So making friends with ego got me through this way, 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 way better than I would have been able to handle and process through this whole situation in the last week. I mean, literally within the last week. Had this happened a year ago, I don't know that I would internet. I would have been in a fetal position, crying, thinking that the world and then the sky is falling, and woe is me and poor me, and look what they did to me, and all this stuff, right? Versus saying, okay, how did I fuck this up? How do I not fuck this up moving forward? How do we move past this, and how do we make better life affirming choices so that this doesn't happen again, and that we can process through this, and we know better, we can do better, right? So one of the things that I did was I was like, okay, it's done. I was like, the thing is done. So I can't change it. Therefore, there's no reason for me to sit there and dwell on it, right? Right now, I can't change what happened. All I can do is release the energy surrounding it. I set a boundary. They set a boundary. Our boundaries do not align. Therefore, they could no longer see themselves here. They took the adult decision. It wasn't like we had to have a yelling match. They made the decision. They gave their notice. They were done. So I'm going to release that, right? So number one, take a moment to evaluate and attribute to the upper limit issue by learning how to spot it, right? Eliminate worrisome, unproductive thoughts that I can't change. How do I do that? How do you do that, right? How do you, when you have those racing thoughts in your brain, how do I release those, right? I notice them. And then I get them in my journal. I write in my journal. I get them out of my head, and I was like, okay, versus me fighting with my ego. I shouldn't be having these thoughts. It's like, these thoughts are going to slip in. I'm going to notice them. I'm going to allow them to have their moment. Like, there's no reason to worry about this. It's what it is. And when I notice them and I'm like, okay, here they come, and they take away the power of it, right? So if you're stressing over a job or a partner or a friendship or whatever, a big new opportunity or healthcare or whatever it may be, and those worrisome thoughts come in, say, do these things do me any good? Are these thoughts doing me any good at all? It's just a way, like, ego, thank you for the information that you think you're providing. I don't need any new information about that. We're going to stay positive. Like, I'm not having those thoughts right now, right? Number two, I'm regaining my power when I shift my focus to valuable thoughts instead. So when this happened this week, I said, you know what? I started seeing the bright side, right? I'm like, okay, now we are probably our calendar is in a place where we can only take on the work that this team can handle, this core team can handle, and we're going to grow more organically and slower. And we're going to be able to do the things which are in my integrity, to be able to put the correct energy into the work. And I changed my perspective. I changed my negative thought into a more positive and life-affirming choice, right? I changed the language around it. And then I shift focus on the value in it, right? What are the valuable things? What are the pros that came out of this, okay? Number three, releasing the need to be right. It will direct conversations away from solutions and add to your upper limit problem. If the only thing I talked about, which I did for like 3 days to my sister constantly, I just had to get it out of my head, had to have that feeling, right? Had to get off on the exit, had to get back on the highway this week. But release my need to be right. I wanted to be right about it. They're wrong and I'm right. And here's the thing, it does not matter. In their world, I am wrong and they are right. And in my world, I am wrong and they are right. I am operating from integrity and doing my best, and it does not matter. It does not matter. I release it. I let it go. It does not have a difference in the entire world. And it's not about who was wrong and who was right. It's about how do we solve the problem? That's neither here nor there. We're here now. How do we move forward, right? So whenever you are in these situations, right, how to help you all with this? How are the things that are coming up in your world, the decisions that you make that get you in these situations like I'm in right now? Like, how did I attribute to those, right? Like, how do you autopsy that, Tammy? And this is where my brain goes without determining and making right and wrong. How do you make the changes if you don't know what side of right or wrong you're on? And I'm like, it doesn't matter, because this situation will never come up again, because this situation happened with this specific person. I don't need to be more right than they are. I can be the villain in your story, right? I do not mind. If that makes you sleep better at night, I am okay with it, because I know, and that's what matters. People who are, if I'm insecure about who's right and wrong, then I am not operating from integrity, because I am not doing what I say I'm going to do. So I'm like, I am doing everything I said I was going to do. I have never kept a promise. It may not have come to fruition yet, but we're working on it. And I've always kept my promise. And I've said, here's the update. So if I know that, then why am I stressing over it? If I'm stressing over it, then I need to evaluate the thing in which I'm seeing in myself that I don't like. Not about them. Not about them being wrong or right. The thing that if I obsess over wrong and right, then that is the thing I have to look at for me. Not for them, for me. And each and every one of you need to do that, right? If you are in that place right now, it's look at the thing that you don't need to be right or wrong. Focus on the solution, because if you do that, it just adds to the problem. 4x4. Fear is characterized as a trigger from childhood trauma that will allow you back and ensure artificial shyness. So in this book, he talks about so many things we pick up as kids that we carry around subconsciously. There was a real estate agent who could never break through selling more than like $120,000 a year. He had a couple of good years, and he just understand it. And within 10 minutes of talking to him, he realized that his dad was also in real estate, and the most his dad ever made was $130,000 a year. So he had this fear of doing better than his dad, because his dad was a kind of a frail guy and had some health issues. And he didn't want to like show his dad up and make his dad feel any less than, because he could do this amazing thing with real estate. So whether he knew it or not, he was then self-sabotaging to protect what he thought it was a whole thing about, he wanted his dad to accept him and see him and his blah, blah, blah. This is how interconnected all of this is as we raise the collective vibration, right? So when I'm starting to do this, where's the fear coming from? And I'll look back and I'm like, let me go heal that childhood trauma. Let me see where that energy is stored in my body. And it starts releasing pain. It starts releasing anxiety. I have been gripping over the things that have been happening around the shop. There has been some things that have just not been happy with. I was hoping that they would kind of work themselves out. And that's just me being me, hoping that everybody was an adult. I loved them enough. I was sending good energy, feeling like it would all kind of work itself out. And then it kind of didn't. And that's a me problem, right? And I get that. But once that happened, and once I've gone through this, I'm going to tell y'all, I had such bad stomach issues. I was gripping on it, which means I was gripping. And as soon as all this happened, my stomach and that chakra opened, and everything has been better. I'm not gripping anymore. And if you've been in Reiki classes or energy classes, when I say gripping and everything's going great now, you'll know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And Heather says, yes, I have made the exact same comment. If these things would have happened 2 years ago, I would have lost my shit and been committed. Right. So there's growth in that. And then it says, I'm going to put this one up here. This is pretty dead spot on. I'm going to put a banner up on this one so everybody can see it. Okay. It says, life is about constantly being open and receptive to receiving positive energy. It keeps your attention on everything inside, where everything starts, the shine you already have, right? Focus the energy on your light. When you bring in your light energy, it shines. We've done this a million times, talk about bringing in your energy suit every day. And this is where that came from. this intentionality we talked about, right, was how I started really unpacking and doing my first like onion layer of shadow work and kind of coming out and into my own, was about being receptive to positive energy and being intentional about shining my light. I have a choice every day, and being kind costs $0. There are times when I have to say my words, and I feel like my office with my door closed in my house, and I'm going to claim it. I'm allowed to say whatever the fuck I want to in my home and in my office with my door closed without anybody in here. And if somebody wants to be in here when I'm venting out loud and they take that, then that's on them. But every person needs a place to have a place of that's safe and calm and for them. I am learning lessons on who I can say things out loud to in a way that is just getting it out of my head and not anything more than just that initial like bleh shit you have to say out loud. Right? So many of us, like, there's things that we all think, and y'all know it, and I say it all the time. You can't put together a 1,000-piece puzzle if you don't take the pieces out of the box. So I encourage you to journal and get all of that stuff out of your head. I am a very much, and this is going to sound, keep your minds out of the gutter. I am very much of the oral persuasion, or an orator. A lot of times when I need to get it out of my head, my hands can't keep up with it. So I'll hit voice notes on my phone and hit record, and I'll just spew it out of my words, just come out. I'll come live if it's a message y'all need to hear. Or if I'm by myself or in a safe space with my door closed, my office, my home, whatever, I sometimes just, it needs to come out. The release needs to come out. Just like journaling through to get some good energy and figuring out what's going on. In my car, some mornings in my car, in my bathroom, that's where I release. I scream, I cry, I curse, I say all the mean things that I don't really mean, all the things that just come out. Hey, but where do you do it? Where do you say the bad shit? Where do you say the bad stuff? Because I know we all say it. You have to get it out, or it sits in places. If you're not saying it and you've got places in your body that it hurts, I'm going to tell you, when I get a lot of like heavy knee, joint, ankle, feet, shoulder, like joint tightness, for me, corn, the big love. That's my autism. Sorry, y'all. For me, when that happens, I need to yell out loud. I need to like release all of the anxiety, release all those thoughts. And I'm like, nope, I don't have room for those. I notice those thoughts. I'm releasing those thoughts and I'm moving to the next positive thing. Sometimes I call it faking it until you make it. And I don't really mean it when I say it. Like, I'm just like, the worst thoughts are not there. I'm like, yeah, they are. I'm just sticking them over here for a second. Versus, doing something productive with them. And I get them stuck in places, right? Versus me journaling through it and getting the worrisome thoughts out, or grounding myself and asking the energy to push it out and getting the cleared energy. If I don't do it, if I'm like in a mall or I'm whatever, that energy needs to be released. And that's what I do through those. Like, I move, like, start with my hand. I do 8 times this way, 8 times this way, my fingers, this hand, this elbow, this shoulders, my head, my hips. I move all that energy through, and I'm like yelling and I'm screaming and I'm like, maybe I'm singing a song, but I'm like, get out of me. I don't need this bad energy. I do my Reiki sessions with Carly. I do my energy clear field. I smudge myself. So it is important to do the work, because we talk about the release is going to allow the space for the love and light energy to come in. So a lot of you that maybe are not feeling the love and light coming through you, it's because you have no room for it, because you're full of all the bullshit. So get that out, release that, and then then being able to move forward, right? And then I'm going to put this quote up. Secret to how to take this one down. Take this one down. It takes a second for the internet to do all the things it wants to do. Take that one down. and then this one, right? The secret to happiness is knowing that there are some things you can control and some things you cannot control, and being okay with both, and living in a space that there's going to be things that come into my purview that I can control the outcome of, and there are things that I cannot. And never that, and I'm not gonna hold any kind of animosity about either one. I'm just gonna let it be what it is. And I hope that you will go through today and you will recognize the spaces in your life where you're attributing to your misery, that you will know when everything in your world is going bad, it's time to do a little autopsy and figure out where you're being upper limited or where ego is coming in. And we're going to do our little card pull today. Then I got to get off here and hit the kitchen hard, hit some planning hard today. Getting ready to do DWR next week. So if you are watching, be advised that we are closed here in shop next week, other than Wednesday. We are here for pickups for your Hometown Hippie orders, but for food, we have Wednesday night take-home dinners, and we have Sunday, we're going to be over at Sandy River for St. Patrick's Day. That menu will be dropping today or tomorrow or sometime this week. I guess when I get to it. We will have fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, broccoli, biscuits, and banana pudding for Wednesday night dinner. And then we got some specialty cakes. We'll show y'all some cool pictures. This week we have a Candyland cake and a fun 21st birthday 21st birthday cupcake pull apart with some fun decorated strawberries and some fun stuff on that. But for right now, we're going to focus on this crystal card affirmation for the week. It's funny that only 4 of you tuned in today, and I really thought a lot more people needed to see this today, but it'll always find the people it needs to find. So as we pull our crystal affirmation for the day, we're going to hold space that everyone out there is going to release those things that are not to their highest and best. They're going to change their language, and they're going to change their ability to make better life affirming choices. We're going to see our own responsibility and our suffering, and we're going to be able to change that and hopefully live a life that is not suffering. I'm going to also ask that you all who are out there with energy light, that you send that out to the people who are no longer with us, that are with us. If you could just send us a little bit of extra love and light, everybody needs it right now. First and foremost, I feel sad because I lost friendships. The work stuff and the employees can come and go, but they are now also not even choosing to be friends anymore over it. And it makes me very sad for that because, I care. When I tell you I love you, I don't stop loving you because you stop loving me. And I'm not going to stop loving. And that's the grieving piece of it. You know what I mean? And like I said, here's the truth of the matter. I love people on purpose and without reason. And I'm not going to stop changing how I love people. Whether you eat at my table or not, that's a different story. I can love you from the balcony. And right now, some people just have to be loved at an arm's length. And it's not because either person's more right or more wrong. It's just because we are not able to coexist in the same space right now. And I'm very sad for that. And I want y'all to hold space and send love out those that way. And I wish wherever they land beautifully. And it's the perfect and the most perfect thing that ever happened. And that everything works out beautifully. And that the work that needs to be done energetically to get them to a place to appreciate it I don't know. Whatever needs to happen is going to happen. Their karma is their karma, and it's not my space to worry about it. But I am going to send out love and light energy, and I'm going to hold space that every one of the persons who are to be in this organization or to be in this environment are here, and the ones that are not, and that everything happens exactly as it should, and we're going to hold space that it's going to turn out like it's supposed to. And our crystal affirmation card today is going to be Chrysoprase. Is it Chrysoprase? Yeah, Chrysoprase. And we've had this a couple of times. Allow ourselves to receive. So somebody out there today in all of this is needing to allow others to help. So allow yourself to receive. This one actually, it almost jumped into my hand. So I know it's our card today, even though we've had it recently. And I know it's our card for today because I felt the electricity. It can sometimes be easier to give than to receive, but receiving help from others is a necessary component of a healthy lifestyle. Open up to receiving as much as you give. Remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Sometimes you can't make this shit up, y'all. Whew. And it's really, when I tell y'all when I finish this reading, there has to be a balance between give and take in all your relationships, whether it's with friends, family, or coworkers. If you notice yourself feeling guilty or uneasy when others give to you, shift your attitude so you can embrace what they have to offer. Where do you give more than you receive? What feelings cause you to do so? What shifts can you make to create more balance in your relationships? Affirm, I allow myself to receive. Today, say thank you without hesitation or deflection to all compliments that come your way. I don't need to say anything else about this. This one I need to unpack a little bit. It is exactly the message that I needed to hear today. It's not that you're right or you're wrong, but it has to be an equal exchange of energy. And if you feel like you've given too much, you probably have. That's a boundary you need to set. I appreciate every single person tuning in. I love you, and I want to thank you for what you give to me every day. You give me good energy. You give me the encouragement to keep it moving. You give me a purpose to get up every day and keep this going. It's been difficult the last couple of weeks to do that. It has been really difficult this last week to not just want to lay in bed and wallow in it. And it is because I know that we make a difference here. And Kathleen Whalen just messaged the group and said that, she had been feeling really bad from some medicine she's on, and these things help. And yesterday, a lady stopped by on her way to a quilting conference. She was the cutest, teeniest little old lady, and I don't call her a little old lady. She's the cutest little thing I've ever seen. I hope she's in the group. She is in the group because she said, "Don't you welcome me? I don't want to know that I'm in this group," because she wanted to know her business. Super sweet lady, super sweet lady. And she said that she got some gummies and some cookies and some lollipops and some caramels. And she's like, I just slept so good and I enjoyed my quilting conference. And, I have people who said, I can't sleep. And when I can't sleep, I can come see you and I can sleep. Or, oh my gosh, my hips have been hurting and I was able to do this. Or they come to me and they say, Christmas was just so great because we got to sit down on Christmas morning to our cinnamon rolls and our charcuterie cheese board, fruit boards, and we didn't have to work, and it was gorgeous, and we felt catered to in our own home, and my wife could actually watch the kids open all their gifts and have to run in the kitchen. It was all done for us. I got plates, and we had Christmas breakfast done for less than $100, and my wife could just enjoy the morning, and it was so easy. And or thank you for providing the food for the wake that we went to, so people could just go and not have to worry about cooking. And or a lady that I'm feeding her mom and dad this week, they just got back from, her mom had a broken neck and she's coming back home from rehab this week, and she's like, if you don't feed them, my dad's gonna have to cook, and my poor mom's gonna not feel well if he has to cook for her all week. So we came up with a plan for them, and they're gonna get dinner from us every night this week for two. In a very life-affirming way, healthier foods with some good intention of protection and love built into it. So whenever I get in these moments of despair or not feeling worthy enough, I want to thank each and every one of you for reminding me why we do what we do, and that it's really bigger than any one or two people in this organization. It is about the love and the light that we spread with every bite. And if the energy is, the universe is going to, with that mission and us being in integrity, the universe is never not going to keep the right people in this building. It might not be the people that I thought it was going to be, but it's going to be the right people. And it might just be the people that you see, who knows, right? But the universe makes no mistakes. And we wish everyone the best. We really do send love and light out. Everything's going to unfold as it should. And we are excited to move forward doing what we do. We will be dropping a new whoopie pie this week. For those of you who like peanut butter and chocolate, hold on to your hats. We're also going to be dropping, those might not drop immediately because we're going to be dropping our Munchie of the Month box. Everything's getting made for that this week because they're going out this week. And we're going to be doing peanut butter and marshmallow eggs for Easter. So that might, I'm going to ask Selena how, with what we have as far as staffing, because she's stepped up and just been phenomenal. Selena just always is. She's the daughter God didn't give me, you know what I mean? She's just stepped up, so I don't want to put any more on her plate than, you know, she can handle. I'm going to ask before we say yes. I know I can't promise those until April, but we do have a new whoopie pie coming out soon. Once we get through the Munchie of the Month boxes, we'll probably be able to drop that next week. I'm going to go help and do some things. I've got to be in Cumberland for the second half of each day this week. So Red will be closing the shop and doing order pickups. Amy's doing breakfast down at our DWR location. She's working 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. I'm coming in and working 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then I'm starting here at 9 and, you know, working through. But I'm going to come in the morning, do the things I have to do for quotes and getting kind of groceries and all the pieces and parts kind of flowing in the right direction. And then I'm heading down to Cumberland to relieve Amy of her morning duties. So I'll be doing dinner each night and prepping for breakfast, and Amy will be doing breakfast and lunch. So we're going to get it done. We're going to figure it out and get it done. On that note, I am going to get off of here. We're 1 hour and 1 minute. We're pretty close to being perfect, as always. Time is illusionary. I love each and every one of you. I appreciate you all. The bonus buy weekend is still going strong through tonight. We have about 4 or 5 cookies left. So if you haven't gotten your order in, go ahead and grab your order. Get your free bonus buy cookies. Grab your sale deals. They will all go away in the morning. I'm going to come in the morning. The first thing I do here is change all the prices back. So make sure that you are grabbing your favorites. They're all on sale right now. They will be gone at midnight tonight. That is a hard thing because it's a lot of things on sale. So I got to make sure I go in there and get it all back off. The Munchie of the Month boxes, if you've not claimed yours yet, you want to claim it. It's going to be a box full of Luck of the Irish with some intentionality and some woo-woo in there. Some bonus buys for the first 20 people that get your subscription. But on that note, we're going to end. And I know Heather's probably going to tell us how we end it. She always does a nice little treat with that, a little piece, a little love, and a little feast, right? But we're going to thank you all for watching. And we are going to end this live, as we always do, with a little trying to give Heather her moment here. She can get it up there. With a little peace, a little love, and a little feast, y'all. And as always, stay elevated till next